So you've performed a self-assessment on your manuscript. Now what? Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about how you go about the revision process now that you've performed a self-assessment on your cozy mystery novel. If you don't know me, my name is Deidre, and this is Wordy Witch Writes. We are following my journey of publishing a cozy paranormal mystery series. I'm a 3-time self-published author of 2 young adult paranormal mysteries and a holiday contemporary romance. You can check those out on Amazon if you'd like, and the link is in the description below. Hopefully last week you watched my video on self-assessing your manuscript. If you haven't done so yet, you definitely need to check it out because I walk you through step by step, question by question, how to go through your manuscript and make sure that it is meeting the cozy mystery guidelines, specifically for the paranormal cozy mystery genre. You can also use this video if you need to walk yourself through editing another manuscript. I do suggest that you look up your genre expectations. If you have watched that video and you're wondering what's next in the developmental edit process, well, if you are editing someone else's, this is typically where you would actually write a letter to that author explaining what you saw in their manuscript, what you suggest needs to be fixed, and you would break it down for them. Unfortunately, if you're doing this yourself, you don't have that option. So today I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this for yourself and also start talking about how to start your revision. You need to review your self-assessment. And then you need to break down what is not working in your manuscript into categories. I break it down into 3 categories: plot and structure, characters, and then pacing. What in your manuscript, and I start with my structure of my novel. If my story is not structured well, if it doesn't follow certain expectations, if it's confusing to follow because it jumps all over the timeline, then that is what needs to be fixed first. Then I move on to characters and then the pacing, making sure that the story is quick enough that it is still interesting, but doesn't move so fast that the readers feel like I'm skipping ahead or missing out on enjoyable details. If you're still struggling with knowing what exactly is wrong with your manuscript after your self-assessment, you can do something that is called reverse planning, where you go through and you provide a summary after each one of your chapters, and you can break it down into the elements that I just talked about. So what is the main conflict or pacing of your story? What are the characters doing in this story? Where are they in their journey? And then what's the plot? So just giving quick summaries of each of those elements. And then after you're done with this, you can do this on index cards, you can do it on paper, you can do it on the computer, whatever works for you. After you would do that, you would go through and figure out more in depth. You would see those inconsistencies just within your summaries. I don't have time today to talk in detail about a reverse plan, but if that's something you'd like to see here on this channel in the future, go ahead and leave a comment below and let me know, and I will be happy to make a video for you on what reverse planning is and give you an example. So you need to review. There are 2 options for you that I'm going to talk about. I've done both of these options, and they both have their advantages and they have their disadvantages. You just need, and there's more options out there. You can definitely do more research on how people revise their manuscript. These are just the ways that I've done it and that have worked for me. So option 1 is that you edit each element at a time. So you break it down and you decide what of your elements needs the most work. I typically like to start with the overall structure of my story and the plot, because those elements are typically what needs the most work. And then I move on to my characters, and then I fix the info dumps or the lack of info. So I go in and I add in usually those are fixed by the time I'm done with the fixing of the structure and the fixing of the characters. But sometimes you still need a little bit more detail in parts, or you need to go through and, as everyone says, Stephen King said it, so we all say it now, it's kill your darlings. And I don't even know if Stephen King was the first one to say it. I know that I read it in his memoir, so that's probably why I say Stephen King. But you need to go through and you need to figure out what is actually, there's too many words in this description, so you need to cut them, even if they're beautiful. The other option you have is a chapter at a time. So this is what I'm doing this time for my manuscript. Because I had to go through and change it from third person to first person, I'm just going through a chapter at a time, and in each chapter I'm clearing up anything that I know is a structure issue. I'm switching out the character stuff. I'm fixing plot inconsistency a chapter at a time. So step 3 is to do the work. Make sure that you're practicing patience with yourself, but set strict deadlines so you're getting this done. A lot of authors spend a lot of time tinkering with words here. Remember that this is just the developmental edit. It is not, it's just your first revision at this point. It is not a line or copy edit. We're going to talk about line and copy edit in the future. But right now, you're just editing your manuscript to make sure that the plot, the characters, the structure, and the pacing are all making sense for your story. You can absolutely edit small details now. So you can go through and you can add in, like you can go through fix glaring errors, like you named the wrong character is mentioned here, you used the wrong there, stuff like that. But you shouldn't be tinkering with sentences. I've heard of authors getting hung up on making sure that their whole first paragraph is so beautiful that they forget that there's another 75,000 words that they have to edit, and so they get lost in that for a month. You're not really worried about that just yet. I have a few tips. As you're going through, you're going to find parts of your story that you might need to cut. I do not recommend deleting it. I recommend that you have a separate document that you open and you label it, like my book is called Hex No right now. I would cut entire paragraphs out or entire pages and I would throw it into that document. I don't delete anything because it might come up, and it has come up where something that I've cut actually would have worked better in a later chapter. And instead of having to rethink or rewrite it, I was able to just copy and paste it and edit it into its new section. So make sure that you're doing that. Also, something you can do is start sending chapters once they're revised to critique partners if you have critique partners. But know that even if you hired a developmental editor, this is something that your developmental editor would leave to you to do. Your developmental editor is not going to go through and fix your manuscript for you. It is your job as the author to do that. I know this is a very short video. You were probably expecting a lot more. I don't know. Maybe you thought there would be more to it, but really it's just doing the work at this point. You've done the assessment. You know what's wrong with your manuscript. Now you just need to make sure that it's working. And remember, you've already written it once. You're going to be able to do it again. You've done the hard part. You figured out the story. Now you just got to make sure that it makes what is going on in your head is showing up on the paper. All right, guys, next week we're going to talk about beta readers and how to find beta readers and work with a beta reader and what to expect from a beta reader and all of the things associated with that. Okay, until next time, talk to you.